Good morning, brilliant scholars. Welcome to Corona Day number 74. Can you feel how close we are to the end of the year? Seniors, you guys have to be absolutely ecstatic. You are just about done, and hopefully you can go into a somewhat normal summer. But we'll see how that goes. Obviously, things have opened up a little bit better. But with our opening up a little bit better, we apparently have reached a high for hospitalizations of coronavirus here in Wisconsin. We are at 413. Apparently, that number was somewhere in the 300s in early May. So there are more people that are hospitalized right now. Hopefully, that's not a continuing uptick in trends. One of the things that we definitely fear is that if reopening leads to more problems, does that mean when we roll into fall, we end up getting locked down again? And I don't know anybody who wants to do that, myself included. I want to be back in the classroom and not talking to you from my backyard. Although it is kind of nice when the weather is nice to be able to be outside in the backyard instead of in our classroom. So let's go over some other things real quick before I tell you what's going on today. I'm also excited that news is starting to move away from just being coronavirus related, but unfortunately, we don't necessarily have awesome news around the world. You should have heard the story by now about George Floyd, African American man in Minneapolis that was killed during an arrest where a police officer kneeled on his neck for, I think, 9 to 10 minutes straight. There are lots of protests that are going on currently. Minneapolis had a lot of issues last night with protests, some looting that went on. But not surprising that there would be protests going on. Even, well, all sorts of leaders have spoken out about how this seems to be not nothing else you could describe other than murder of this man. He was not resisting arrest by first appearance. He just was subdued in a fashion that ended up taking his life. And many people ask the question, well, would that have happened if that was a white guy? Um, so anyway, that is how your civil rights unit that we talked about in U.S. history, guys. You've learned all about protest and understand exactly what our country went through to get to a better place, and maybe you'll understand what it might take to continue moving forward. All right, other things going on. We've got the locust infestation in East Africa. Locusts are basically like giant grasshoppers that can eat massive amounts of crops in a short amount of time. They reproduce very quickly, and they run around, or they fly around in swarms of millions. They're very difficult to stop in places where they lack resources. Here in the United States, we would, if we were hit with something like this, we would hit it right away with enough power to probably stop it. But right now we're talking about rural parts of Kenya, northern Tanzania, Ethiopia, places like that that are struggling just with the coronavirus, let alone taking on this. So that's not good for that region. And maybe some lighthearted news up on the top there. We've got an alligator taking a rest on an alligator floaty in a Florida pool. Not exactly sure how I'd respond if I was in Florida and found that in my pool, but I can assure you there would be some pictures involved. Speaking of which, background came from Holy Hill yesterday. We finally had a decent sunrise, and since we didn't have morning sessions on Wednesday, I was able to get out and get some pictures, which is nice, with the exception of how early the sun rises now. If you don't know it, it is already light at about 4 o'clock in the morning. That is early. All right, what do you have to do? History, historians, you guys have to catch up today. I'm concerned about some kids who have fallen behind. It's been mostly my global seniors that had fallen behind, but I do now have some history kids that have checked out a little bit. Today, everybody gets a break, and you are tasked with taking care of anything that's missing. On your doc, you'll see that there is a document, a form to fill in. Don't just drop things into classroom. A lot of times I'll have kids who will do that. I'm not searching for everybody's individual assignments that are late. If you have something that's late and you want to get credit for it, you're going to need to put it in the form. So I have a one-stop shop for me to go in and get all those things updated in a pretty short amount of time. So please look at that, get that stuff done. If you're looking to look forward, we will test on Vietnam next week. Those of you who want to get an early jump start on it, you could start looking at key terms and things like that. There is a sheet in the modules that you could look at. Other than that, just get stuff caught up. Global relations, same thing that you guys have been working on. Finish up that final paper. I have gotten a few questions about the paper, but not a lot. I'm hoping they're out there. I did mention on your document that I am actually going to put some zeros in the grade book for those of you who are on the bubble. It's not a punishment. That's not something like, hey, I think you're going to fail. I just want you guys to know who are on the bubble exactly what would happen if you didn't do that paper. Uh, it's not normally a problem. Normally, I have this in the classroom. Kids do this 1 or 2 days and we're out. But since you guys are at home, some of you have checked out more than usual. So I'm doing whatever I can to try and get you to realize the significance of finishing out the semester. Let's please, please finish on a positive note. There's no reason not to buckle down and get some things done in these last few days. All right, thank you for those of you who take the time to watch our agendas and follow along in class, and I hope to see you all soon.